Hey, how's everyone doing? This is Oz with Oz Mechanics, and on today's video we have this 2009 Ford F-150 right behind me. So the issue with this Ford F-150, customer came in for a service job, and while I was checking out the fuse block and I put my arm on it, I noticed that my arm got hot. So I actually looked at what burnt me. It was a fuse. And then I started looking a little bit further. This was a fuel pump fuse. And I've seen this before where people actually relocate the fuse because it's getting too much amperage or high resistance or something like that. They have a fuse kit from Ford. So how about in today's video, we try to figure out this issue and give the vehicle back to the customer. Whoop. All right, so we did a repair on this right here. But when I came over here, I noticed that, first of all, it had two fuses that were just kind of above. As you can see, these are the low profile fuses right here. So if you want to see how one looks, this is how they look, and look what they added on here. But I'm gonna show you something. Look at that. That is crazy, man. So you can see that someone tried to add a different fuse on here. So I'm pretty sure they had an issue before where what happens with these vehicles right here, these fuses, they get too hot. I believe it's too much current or something with the fuse block. They get too hot and then it just doesn't start anymore. So what a lot of people like to do is maybe put a different fuse on there, you know, see if they can get through it. But if we look closely in this, look at one leg, how oxidized it is. That is crazy right there. Ford, they actually came out with a kit right here. So if we look at this, this is the kit that Ford sells. And basically it's a relocating kit. It's not really that much, to be quite honest. If you look in here, this is all the kit comes with. And Ford sells it for a pretty penny. So this kit comes with a J case, 20 amp fuse, some heat shrink, and a brand new wire right here. And basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to relocate the wire into one of these J case locations. As you can see, there's already one blade right there. We're going to add the other blade on the other side. So this blade is already powered up the whole time, and we're going to add another blade on the other side to power up the fuse. So luckily I already have this on the open position. On the previous job I actually showed that. So we're going to see how this goes. But main thing is I do want to see something. I actually want to hook up a scope right here and see what the amp draw is, because I'm kind of curious, because a lot of these mess up. I'm telling you, that's why they have a new kit right here. So a lot of these mess up. You know, sometimes what I like to do is get some electrical cleaner and kind of clean it up in there, but I want to see how it looks in there. I don't know. Right now what I want to do is get my oscilloscope and do an amp test on this one while the fuel pump is running, and I want to see what readings we get out of this. And then after that we're going to go ahead and relocate this, and you know, so this customer doesn't have to deal with this ever again. And I think it comes with a sticker right here too. As you can see, now it says the fuel pump relay is going to be on fuse 70. So we have a designated fuse that we have to put it on here. And if we count this, 74, 73, 72, 71, 70. So 74, 73, 72, 71, 70. So now this is going to be the new home for that location. But first and foremost, let's check out the amp draw and let's see what we get. All right, so we have a whole setup right here. So first and foremost, we have our top-down Phoenix Max with our oscilloscope, and on top of that, we're gonna have our bidirectional to turn on our fuel pump. And then we have this fuse buddy right here, so we remove this fuse right here. We're gonna use the same one, and we wanna check out the amperage on here. So what we're gonna do first, remember, I wanna verify that this right here, let's see, we're gonna check this out, that our fuse 27 is actually our fuel pump fuse. As you can see, fuse 27 right there goes to our fuel pump relay. We can verify that. We are 100% sure that's going to be it. Now what we want to do is go to our bidirectional, and we already have our oscilloscope hooked up right here, so I want to show you that. We have our oscilloscope right here. So what we want to do right here is, on this, we're going to see a reading of 20 amps. Let me see if I can get that. If we look at the 20 amp mark right here, for every 100 millivolts is going to be 1 amp. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go off of that scale. So what we need to do to start off with is we're going to go back to here, go to our fuel pump, and we're going to turn this on. So we're going to hear our fuel pump turn on. All right, you hear that? Go to our scope, and we're going to see what kind of reading we have. And as you can see, we're about like 400 amps right there. So it's not too crazy. So right here, for every 100 millivolt is going to be 1 amp. And right here we have like around 360 to 500 millivolts. It's not too crazy, to be quite honest. So I don't know why this is heating up. Maybe when we turn on the vehicle, I'm not too sure. So what I want to do, let's see if we see a difference here. We're going to go ahead and turn this off. Okay, go back to scope. You can see a 0. Now let's try something. We're going to go ahead and turn it on, and we're going to see if we get a different reading. And I'm sorry, the reason it's doing this, oh my God, I'm a dummy, is because we got to back out of this. Now, okay, holy smokes, check that out right there. Okay, so it goes up to about 700, but you know what, man? Let's redo this. I wasn't scaled right. I didn't zero it out. So right now running is about 500 or about 5 amps. Let's turn this off again. Okay, so we're about 12 amps, 13 amps at one point, and then it drops down. Okay, awesome. So there you go. If we see that right there, man, it's about 13 amps, 12 amps at a certain, and then it drops down to about 5 amps. Always remember to re-zero out your amp clamp. That's where I messed up on that. That's my fault. You know, we all make mistakes, especially when we're filming. But we can see right here, there's a big amp draw. Sure, that's why this messes up, or like it probably doesn't have proper contact for that massive amp draw right there. So that's why Ford, they went ahead and they made this one right here. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go ahead, open this up, find this actual cable, and the good thing is that Ford was nice enough to show us this. So as you can see, it tells you this will work for 2010 to 2014, and it tells you the engine size. You know, this is a different one. This is a 5.4, but has the same problem, same freaking fuse. I think the same burn mark on that one. And it goes step by step on how to do this. And that's what we're going to be doing. Luckily, we went ahead and already had this from the previous repairs where we're doing the AC job. So we are a step into it. But if you do get this kit, it will come with all this right here. But let's get to this and let me show you how to do this, because we're going to do step by step and we're going to fix this sucker up, okay? And I want to show you exactly how this is going to get done. All right, so let's move all this aside for the meanwhile, just so we can get into this, and I'm going to show you how to do this. And like I said, we're going to be using our paperwork right here to help us through. All right, let's get to it. All right, so first and foremost, like I said, it's going to show what cavity it is, cavity 27. And then we're going to start off with removing the battery from the battery post. This is a size 8. We're just going to go ahead and remove this. I get that out the way. And then it just tells us to move some of these clips. And like I said, most of these clips, which are going to be all around this area, you can start taking those off. And then it tells you to pull these back right here to move this up. All right, and there's going to be 2 here and 2 in the back, which you're going to be doing. As you can see, 2 in the back right here. And then it wants you to loosen up this tape right here. So there's a piece of tape right here. It wants you to take that off. And what we can do, just to give us a little bit more movement right there, we'll take that off. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and remove that bolt right there. And that's going to be important whenever you take off the battery, because you don't want that to be arcing everywhere. And what we're using is a 10 for that, and then the 8 for the one for the battery. Once we can move this out the place, It's going to tell us to remove all the little clips around here, which I already did. For your convenience, remove this cable right here as well. And at that point, we're going to have area to look at this. All right, so what we need to find is going to be the number 27. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be this thick wire right here. See that big old thick wire right here? That's what they want us to go ahead and cut. And that kind of lines up with this one right here, because there's a yellow and red, and right next to it is going to be that big old thick one right there. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and cut this right here, because we're not going to be using that anymore. Awesome. And we got a couple options that we can do. We can use butt connectors, or we can use heat shrink. We can solder it. I'm a big soldering guy, so when it comes down to that, that's the appropriate one I'm going to be using. So we can go right here, cut this end, because remember the other end goes to the fuse. All right, here you go. As you can see, we are good right there. We made our cut, and there's going to be a blue and red. And then at that point, we can go ahead and grab ours that comes right here. This is going to be the new one that we're going to be using. And we got to find its new home. And they did bring two of these. You see two different size heat shrinks right here. We're going to use one for when we put these together. And the other one, it wants me to put it right here so we can heat this so it's not touching up in here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do that and make sure that that's all good in there. And then we're going to go ahead and solder this piece to the other piece that we have right here. Shouldn't be too hard of a job right here. So we're going to go ahead and cut a little bit off. All right, we cut a little bit off. And remember, it's going to be number 70. So if I'm not mistaken, 74, 73. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on the bottom right here, let me get you down here so you can see what I'm seeing. All right, now we are ready to solder. And if you can't solder, you don't want to solder, it's okay. You're not obligated to do it. You know, butt connectors are good enough. Honestly, I just like to solder. And people are going to talk to me, they're going to be like, you're not soldering right. Okay, who cares? Is it making good connection? That's the main thing I'm worried about. And we're just got to make sure that the solder goes all the way through. So what we're going to do, actually I have this Mac that I really do like, and Jesus. All right, now that our solder is in place, and especially when this heavy solder like this, you gotta start from the in out. Make sure that all the strands are completely covered in solder. You know what? A butt connector would have worked as well. So we just want to make sure that the solder goes all the way through, that we have a solid connection. And next, what I want to do, I'm actually going to use both of these because I want to make sure that it goes all the way through. I'm going to go ahead, put the heat shrink on both ends so we have double protection. And for that, we're going to use a heat gun. All right, we're going to use this heat gun right here to close up this heat shrink. And like I said, on this one, the heck with it, I'm going to go ahead and use both of them just for extra protection. Yeah, for me, I'd rather just protect both of these so we don't get a tear or something. Redundancy, but I'd rather have that than something later on that's going to come up with the customer and he's going to say, hey, my truck is not starting anymore. I thought you did the repair. And I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that everything's A-okay. All right, and this one is kind of cool because it has like a glue. So I don't know if you see the resin that comes out on the ends. That's glue right there. All right, I'm happy with this. Now, the next thing that we need to do is kind of just push this in there. And we're going to go ahead and find its new home. Ah, there you go. Now, if we look right here, now we have two clips on this side. And we should be able to put our brand new fuse on here. Remember, this is going to be a 20 amp fuse, fuse 20. And what you want to do, you can actually put this on a couple of sides. I want to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the fuses right here. So we can put that right there so they can see it. We can put one on the top as well. Bam. All right. What we want to do first, we can start putting this stuff back together and make sure that when you put this down, that it doesn't get damaged. So what I like to do is start slowly putting this back on. It's going to be the inner side clips first that we're going to be putting on. But we just want to make sure that it doesn't damage any of our wires. Sometimes those wires, they tend to come out. Then after that, the clips that hold them in place, there's some back ones and front ones. Everything is set on the top. There you go. All right, hook this up and we are almost done. All right, now we just gotta get our battery back in place. Sweet cakes. Now this is gonna be the moment of truth right here. We're gonna see if we have a running vehicle. All right, ready to go? Here goes. 3, 2, 1. There you go. All right, sweet. So how cool was that, man? So if you have Ford from 2009 to 2014, 15, and it has that fuse box that's right in the front, check out that fuse 27. Like I said, Ford has a kit, and with that kit you can get that repaired. And the main thing is, it's not too bad of a job. But what I'm trying to do is make sure that you don't get into that predicament that you're going to be with family members or whatever. You're driving, what happens if you're like in a desolate area? Avoid that. This you can get done in about an hour and a half if you have the right tools. Get everything going, and then you don't have to deal with it. So there you go. What do you think of this video? This wasn't a diag video. This was just a repair video and maintenance video. So what do you think? Do y'all like these videos? Please comment down below. Let me know what you think of these videos. And like I end off all my videos, if you do like this video, please put a big thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that little notification bell to get all the brand new videos coming out from Miles Mechanics. Y'all take care. Y'all have a nice day. Goodbye.